Halo, the Master Chief Collection. We're on Xbox Series X. We're going to do a review of the entire experience. We're going to start with Halo Combat Evolved. We're going to do a campaign mission out of each of the different games, talk about them, and then at the end we're going to show off Firefight, and then we're going to show off some of the multiplayer. So I did this in the past when the Xbox One X enhancements came out, and I'm just really genuinely excited to showcase these games again. They're my favorite titles of all time. And yeah, we do get a number of great improvements that we're going to be going over and showcasing across these really exciting titles. So with the Series X optimizations, we're getting 4K at 120 FPS if you have the option. I will be showcasing the game at 4K 60 and having some 120 FPS clips in there as well to present, and I'll talk about those when I do show them off. So yes, Halo Combat Evolved, the game that started it all. In this package, you get each of the main Halo titles in one bundle, so you can easily switch between them. So with this release of Halo Combat Evolved, you get the option to switch between the anniversary version and the classic version. Whatever you choose, however you want to interact and enjoy the experience, which I think is absolutely fantastic. So alongside the release with a 4K 120 FPS and some improvements, you do get other changes to the overall experience. We do have HDR support with a sort of like open HDR option within the menu that you can choose between. You also get to choose your field of view. You can see however you want. You can adjust that. There are options in the different games for how the multiplayer sounds are, and it's kind of interesting. The game also has a cross sort of progression system in regards to earning a seasonal battle pass type of thing, which I'll talk about in the multiplayer, and it's kind of interesting because that's all earned while playing. But yeah, we should focus on Halo Combat Evolved, the original story. And I'm going to try to do this mainly from the perspective of teasing, those that have played the Halo games before, you'll know what I'm talking about, but also those that are coming in for the first time might kind of be surprised, because I'm going to try to keep it spoiler free and just give you a gist of what each of the stories is trying to tell and showcase. So in the first game, you play as the Master Chief. You're paired up with Cortana, this really awesome blue chick AI, and you're going about on this planet, well, not really planet, but this installation, which is sort of a giant ring that is Halo. You come here upon the Pillar of Autumn, and you're being chased. You're trying to figure out what you're dealing with, mostly because you're on this alien structure, this weird place that is certainly not a naturally occurring location, and you are battling your way through it using various means, weapons, vehicles, on foot, with other Marines that are left as part of your squad. And it really is just fantastic. And it's amazing that these visuals, even the original classic style, holds up as well as it does today, because they are still quite gorgeous. I also really like the Anniversary Edition. I like the upgrades to the overall visual aesthetics. I think they're quite great. But yeah, it's just a really gripping, mature, interesting game where there is this mysterious extra force that kind of comes into the mix as this additional monstrosity, and I always felt that aspect was really neat, because it sort of really switches gears and has a completely different tone to it. That's really what it is. And when you see that happen, you'll be surprised and shocked as that kind of comes into the mix of the action and what you're doing, who you're battling against. Because while you're taking on these alien Covenant forces, there is something else looming there in the distance, right? Kind of waiting for its moment to strike. And I think that's sort of fun to see how that's revealed and how you tackle that sort of situation. It's really quite cool. The legendary library level and so many other memorable portions of what the overall experience had to offer is really, really great. This first one definitely still holds up in so many neat ways. It's a lot of fun and introduces a lot of the, kind of ideas and concepts of the series. And I think with that, we're going to be switching over to Halo 2 so you can see that one in action. Why am I not getting any grunt birthday parties? That is really weird. But yeah, let's switch over. This is Halo 2 with Halo 2 Anniversary, which is a similar upgrade that we saw with Combat Evolved. It looks fantastic, and you're going to be able to switch between the two. I'm kind of showing off the loading as well, just so you get an idea of it. It is a little bit quicker when it's on the actual internal. But yeah, this has beautiful cinematics with this upgrade. Seriously, absolutely amazing cinematics. It looks absolutely just gorgeous and incredible. So in Halo 2, you are really upping the stakes. It shows you a little bit of a unique perspective as once again you jump into the shoes of the Master Chief alongside Cortana, but you also get to see split perspectives. You're also jumping into the shoes of the Arbiter, which is an elite character. So not only are you seeing the humans in a brand new sort of situation, because while I am showing off a location that is, you know, kind of alien and mysterious, you do actually begin and kind of work your story through a little bit of Earth. It's crazy to see the invasion sort of taking place and you being in the middle of it. I actually just got hit in the back. Wow, that is a little embarrassing and absolutely hilarious. But yeah, it's just kind of a really interesting campaign, a unique set of perspectives, because while you traditionally got the human side of things, you haven't really seen what's going on with the Covenant, and it's not necessarily something that is going well. There's a bit of a schism happening between the elites and this more dangerous selection called the Brutes, and you get to sort of see that in action as these two, you know, this one faction that you're used to is actually sort of split and battling like within itself. It's kind of absolutely crazy and a lot of fun to see. And then in the backdrop, once again, there's this extra layer of this monstrosity sort of sitting there. And how that all kind of combines itself and ties into one another really is quite fascinating and well done. I was, you know, surprised back in the day playing this when I got it and playing it with my friend. It was just very interesting. So like with the first game, I should have mentioned this in that one I guess as well, there is split screen, so you can play with 2 players, and then you can also do online play if you want to play with one another. So again, Combat Evolved and Halo 2, you can do 2-player split screen or 2-player multiplayer online. So that's kind of exciting and a great way to experience this selection of stories with one another. And we'll tell a little bit about each of the campaigns and the overall package as we continue going along through it. So this is on Xbox Game Pass. It's got crossplay, it's got cross progression, it's got all of the major Halo moments. When you're playing the campaigns, it's got this tracking system you're seeing in the bottom right, so you can have it set to basically compare your times or your score while you're playing, or you can have it off if you don't want it. You can kind of jump in here and have fun with friends, or you play it by yourself, and it's just sort of an expansive offering. I mean, like, look at the difference in the visuals here. It's absolutely insane while retaining that original aesthetic. It's absolutely just gorgeous. It's just mind-blowing that we're able to still experience these games looking like they are, and being once again absolutely delighted by what this has to offer, because I really did enjoy and love these games. They're all so excellent. It's like all of my favorite titles in one awesome package, and I hope, you know, I'm doing it justice in how I'm presenting each of the different games so that you get, you know, kind of glimpses of what they are and really what they have to offer. This one really did, I guess you could say, raise the stakes in a number of ways and do new things and try out different gameplay mechanics. It was just a lot of fun and a really good time to experience then, and even today it's still such a fun sense of mystery and exploration and discovery as you're, you know, battling your way through these forces, trying to survive and trying to help out humanity. Why am I having such a hard time today with this one? I'm like, no ammo, no weapons. It's absolutely crazy. I guess I should... Where are the Marines at? They're not helping me at all. But yeah, it's just kind of a wild experience. And there's different difficulty options. I'm just playing on normal. There is up to Legendary, which is the difficult, hardcore sort of mode in the Halo series. That one's fun if you want a bit more of a challenge. And speaking of challenges, again, we got the cross challenges between the different games you can experience if you want to deal with that, which is kind of cool. And you get lots of different perspectives. You know, you can be on the ground, you can be in vehicles across the campaigns. There's lots of different missions and setups and scenarios and situations that you're going to be dealing with. And with that, we're going to switch over to Halo 3.
The controls to extend.
This is Halo 3. So this is my favorite game of all time, period. I absolutely adore this title. I've had so many memorable moments with it. We're just going to do the initial level of the game, well, part of it obviously, to showcase it. And yeah, unlike the first two games that came before it, this one you're actually not seeing any sort of anniversary edition because the game still looks absolutely stunning. It really does hold up quite well, and it looks fantastic. I would actually really like to see a anniversary edition someday, but you know, until then, I still think it looks gorgeous, and it still holds up so beautifully well. The design and the art of this one really do stand the test of time. So this can be played in 4-player co-op if you want to grab some buddies. You get the Master Chief, and then you get 3 elites to kind of pal around with. You know, your buddy the Arbiter is one of them, and then you get 2 other nondescript ones, but that's kind of fun. It was just a very interesting and epic entry and conclusion to the Halo trilogy. This sort of finished things off before they started expanding it and adding more to the Halo series. And yeah, it was great. It really was such a memorable story filled with secrets and hidden things to gather, and it was epic in the sense that you were now fighting on Earth. Things were not going well. You still had the looming force that was present within the previous entries of the Halo series coming to the forefront, and it's sort of a 3-way battle split that's happening here between the different factions. As you can tell, the Arbiters now kind of our pal. They got over things. We're working actively with the elites to a degree as we fight back against the Brutes and the Prophets as they wage war and try to basically exterminate us and attack humanity. Now across the games you've been seeing the confetti of the grunts, so that's sort of caused by these things called skulls. So skulls are things that you can turn on during the campaigns that change up what it's like. So there's like, I would have been your daddy, that gives you weird dialogue. And then there's, you know, the grunt birthday party, which makes the confetti when you hit them in the face. Or, well, not in the face, but hit them in the head. And it goes, hooray! And it's just absolutely fantastic. I mean, the skulls are a fun addition, and just some of the Easter eggs and hidden secrets that you can sort of use and discover while you're exploring what these great games have to offer. So you see, you get the headshots, and it does the hooray thing. It's kind of fun. So this was also interesting. As the last one, you know, you're working Chief and Cortana once again. Sort of a similar situation, where this is more of the search for Cortana, to try to find her and find out what happened after the events of Halo 2, while also defending humanity. You get to see the stories that you've, you know, been enjoying, the characters, their tales sort of wrap up with this entry in regards to some of the main, you know, parts of that. You see Sergeant Johnson's story kind of conclude. You see the same with the Keyes family within this original trilogy. It really is those characters and their tales and their basically integrations and matching in regards to history with the Master Chief, because, you know, they're sort of a tight-knit group that works together and has over the course of the different games in different ways. And it all wraps up perfectly with this entry in the series. They did such an amazing job on this one. I still love playing this. At least once a year I like to do a run of the campaign, just because I love this game so much. The levels are so well done. They even have this cool new fun skull, which is lets you like jetpack through the levels. That one is an absolute riot and well worth your time. So I should also mention, as part of the package, we did mention, you know, the whole crossplay, cross progression thing. So you can actually, on console, use mouse and keyboard. So that's kind of exciting. It's a good option to have for those that like it. And I love the sound this thing makes when you hit it. It's just absolutely fantastic. But yeah, it's just a really amazing package of games, and the campaigns are so great and so worth your time to experience because they're so much fun and they're so well detailed, so well designed, and an absolute treasure to experience even today. They really do hold up well, and I mean, particularly Halo 3, I love playing this game. I play it over and over and over again, and I have over the years played it so much just because it's so epic in scale and so intense, and how things are dealt with and how everything sort of concludes and wraps up with the different characters, you know, the looming threats that still exist, the... Oh, gee, you're still alive. Huh, that's funny. You know, just the vehicle battles, the expansion, and the scope of the series. It was really exciting, but I think with that, we're going to move over to Halo 3 ODST, which is a very, very different sort of time, and I think you'll be surprised by that one. So this is Halo 3 ODST. This is a very different entry in the series. You know, usually you're playing as a Spartan, a very powerful individual, but here you're jumping into the shoes of the rookie, your ODST, your shock troopers, your regular soldiers. Well, you're much more than regular soldiers, but you know what I mean. You're just a regular person. You don't have the crazy shields, you don't have the crazy strength that these other characters do, and it's a very different perspective. So while you are primarily playing as the Rook and going through this sort of, I guess, almost open world hub area where there's secrets and lore things to discover, really sad radio clippings too that I thought were wonderfully well done, you're going around and you're trying to figure out what happened to your squad. So you find these objects within this hub area, and then you get a sort of, I guess you could say, flashback perspective of what happened, and you get to play out what that situation was, just like we're doing here. And most of the levels kind of play out in that way, and there are some, you know, mix-ups throughout in regards to the character running into others, and it's just really neat because you get to see all these different perspectives, all these different characters, and how they interact with one another across this story. It's really quite interesting and very, very well done, and it's got some really surprising moments throughout it. A lot of heart, a very different... I'm just getting slaughtered this time going through this. That is unbelievable. Yeah, but you get all these different perspectives, all these different situations, and you're not the usual tough guy that you are in the other games. You definitely feel that throughout. Really, I thought I'd get a cool double sort of kill there. I'm definitely off my game or something. Where did they go? But yeah, it's a neat sort of perspective. The music, again, really helps set the tone in this, and I think that's true with all the Halo games. I don't know why I'm having troubles getting up there. That is driving me absolutely crazy. But yeah, it's just got this nice sort of dark, creepier tone to it in regards to the different like perspectives and situations that you have to deal with. It's really quite interesting and beautifully well done, and surprising in so many ways as you go about this sad location where things haven't been going well. Mombasa, you know, it's basically being under siege, it's being destroyed, and you're just like a force that's sent in to deal with certain important tasks, and there's a whole deeper mystery behind that. You're not just, you know, here for a certain thing. There's something else going on. You're not just finding out what happened to your squad. There's a little bit of a nice mystery that reveals itself over the course of the different missions. So this one's also neat because this was just going to be a DLC, a small expansion to Halo 3. That's why it basically takes the same, you know, look and design and feel of that entry. And then it kind of blew up into its own standalone game, and I think that's really quite fascinating because it is quite an enjoyable time, and a surprising one at that, because I didn't expect such deeper characters that have, you know, like different personalities and style to them, and you do really connect with the individuals here, and they actually do quite impact the lore later on, and I won't dive into why, but it's definitely worth jumping into this one to kind of meet some of the individuals that are present here in terms of the characters and their roles when it comes to later entries. Could you possibly skip this one if you were really doing a more purist Halo run? I guess so. But if you are coming in for the first time, you want the full scope of what Halo has to offer, and I think this is a nice story and a different perspective that really does still shine even today. I think it's, you know, definitely worth jumping into, and definitely something that will surprise you, as once again, you know, you get that 4-player co-op going on if you want to play with others, which is nice, and it's just a very interesting and exciting sort of campaign experience. I really did quite like this one. I do think it's a lot of fun, and it is surprising too in regards to some of the moments and situations that happen. It still has those big epic scale Halo moments. It just provides them in a not even a more compact, because the story size I think was still decently large. It just provides them in a unique situation, a different perspective, and one that will, again, provide some surprises along the way as you're going along as this smaller group of ODST characters trying to make it, and also trying to get your job done, your objective, because that's the most important thing here, because you're kind of an intense group of soldiers, and your job, you gotta, actually do what you're told, and even maybe deal with some of the surprises that come along the way. But let's hop into Halo 4 at this point. So this is Halo 4. This was very interesting because this was a late Xbox 360 generation release, and when you see it later on the Xbox One, you can kind of see that this was sort of meant for that next generation at that time, because it is quite gorgeous. It really is well done in terms of the art style, and I actually find this to be one of the better stories within the Halo series. It dives in deeper into who the Master Chief is, his connection with Cortana, and also the role he plays within this universe. Is he just a machine? Is he just a tool for others to use? Or does this character have more depth to them? And I think that's really quite interesting and presented in a very unique way. So they also changed things up quite a bit. Halo 3 wrapped up a lot of the story elements. So this one takes things further into the, the future. Time has passed. You awaken and you're ready to start battling against whatever new sort of threat has come along. So now you're exploring this shield world, trying to figure out, what's happening, what the situation is, and it's really neat in that regard. I love that sense of mystery again that was presented. Again, like, this environment is just absolutely gorgeous. And you're also fighting a new threat this time. So some people are sort of iffy on these ones. I did find them interesting. I love the particle effects. It looks fantastic. But they are an interesting, different sort of enemy. This sort of forerunner mix of lost souls, I guess you could say, in a non-spoiler sort of way. Yeah, it's just a very neat sort of enemy that comes in different styles and different looks, and they're really quite neat, as are the different weapons and tools they unleash upon you as you battle them. And the reason why they're battling you too is another mystical, deep lore character. And I think that was handled in a very interesting sort of way. Again, with many of the traditional Halo designs and tropes that you would expect. Of course, the long battle sequences and vehicle segments, and being able to play with 4-player co-op, if that's your sort of thing. And it's just kind of an exciting, great entry in the series. I really do think this is worthwhile and definitely a fun time. It definitely takes things further and starts a new modern era of the Halo games. It definitely was something different for its time, and I had a lot of fun playing it over the years. I really have actually quite enjoyed the campaign in this one and what it has to offer. Again, sort of changing things and setting the stage for a new story to be born as it kind of progresses. And it leaves things in a neat way, as you are told to, not to leave the planet and stuff like that, which is kind of a big standout moment. But this bigger focus on, character, on narrative, on cinematics, on the meaning of, who the Master Chief is, I think was just really quite well done. And it did definitely evolve many key elements of the series. Do we get a light rifle? I think we get a light rifle here. But yeah, you got all these different, enemies you have to deal with. It's just really cool and well done. And while we have been showing off these enemies the majority of the time, there's a lot more to it than just this. You will see your traditional, Covenant forces come in different ways, which is fun. So be wary of that. You're not just fighting these creatures the whole time through. And there are some mysterious little situations that happen while you're battling. And you get some new toys to play with and some different armor type abilities. And it's just something that I think should, surprise in many ways if you have just played the other Halo entries. I do think this one really is important to understand the character better and also some of the additional characters that they start to introduce. You get this whole thing with the Infinity, which is the big ship, and that kind of plays a bigger role in the expansion of the Halo universe. There's also the Spartan Ops too, which expands the story further, but not specifically around the Master Chief. So that's kind of a cool cooperative focus thing that you can check out with others. I thought that was a different sort of addition. I'm not going to really show it, but I just wanted to mention that that is a part of the package that you can enjoy with like full cinematics, you know, a different sort of team, and it just builds out the universe in a different way. And I'm not sure if as many people are going to be like knowledgeable of what that is, which is why I thought it was important to mention. But let's wrap up the campaign segments by jumping into Halo Reach. This is Halo Reach. This is a very interesting entry in the series. It is a prequel, which there was a book that was out about Reach, and this kind of does some different things. It's very interesting and a very well done and again very somber story with a different selection of Spartans. You're coming in as your custom character, joining this noble team. They all have personalities, and it's a game of, you know, defeat, desperation, trying to hold things down, and also again mystery too, as you're trying to figure out what's going on. You kind of have an idea of what's happening, and then you slowly start to see everything break down. Again, jumping into certain elements of, I guess you could say, the backtracking that is a big part of the Halo games. Each of the Halo games has some backtracking segments. That's just how it's done. And I really did like them in this one because they're very neat in how you re-see certain areas in different ways. It's definitely quite dark, and I think this one, you know, it's gorgeous. It really is, like, visually it's absolutely stellar. It's stunning. But, you know, it's got some story elements to it that I think will pleasantly surprise many that jump in here, and you should definitely check it out because it's really cool. It's not necessarily essential to the overall story, but it's really, really good, and I think you'll get quite attached to this noble team. I should also mention that while you can jump into any of the Halo games at any point, oh yeah, geez, the MOA, I love these things, so fun. You can play different levels, kind of separated, so they have these cross playlists that you can jump into to play different levels from different games that sort of match one another. So that's another fun way to interact with what the Chief Collection has to offer, so I just wanted to mention that as well because I do think it is kind of important. This is like a whole thing of the cinematics, and there's like people in there, yeah, whatever, let's keep rolling. So it's got a good selection of really in-depth levels that are very different from the other Halo games. I quite like this team, I like the setup of it, how it sort of reveals itself, and the changes to some of the characters, keeping in mind that this is a prequel. You know, some of the story elements are definitely tonally quite different, I think, and it's very unique to come in here and try to figure out what exactly is happening, again with your 4-player co-op and everything like that. If you want to jump in that way, you can play with others, which is excellent, and it's just a very well done, engaging game that really is quite cool, and again sort of unique and throwbackish in regards to the health pack elements. It's very, very different. That's really what I want to get across, is it feels very distinct, but yet definitely on par with the rest of the Halo series. I'm also thinking of the challenges. So they've added the cross playlist challenges, which I kind of mentioned, that earn you things to unlock new armors and stuff. I just remember back in the Halo Reach days, they had like dailies and that, which was also kind of fun. But yeah, this one just had a lot going on with it. A lot of different surprises, good enemies. The elites were terrifying in this one. Definitely a bit of a threat, that's for sure, and I think we're going to see them in a sec here. It's kind of wild how memorable this one was in terms of how the, you know, certain characters, basically how they were dealt with and what happened to them across the entire story. I've been trying to like tiptoe around certain elements of it in case you're playing Halo Reach for the first time. I think overall as the Chief Collection, you know, as one package, it's kind of crazy that you get all of these games that release separately as one bundle. and you can just work through all of the different stories in one place. That's absolutely insane. And it's all looking and playing infinitely better than it ever did in the past. It looks amazing. The textures, the design of it all hold up so beautifully no matter what game you're playing here. I think that's kind of amazing, and I hope this continues to be the spot that people check out. Yeah, these elites are just, they're absolutely nuts. They do like crazy roundhouse kicks and stuff. They're terrifying. They are a very scary enemy to face. I mean, look at them, they're just absolutely menacing. And then you get like the sword ones and stuff, those guys are even crazier. But yeah, you've got this cool team, you've got these emotional moments, you've got these standout set pieces. I need a weapon or something, jeez. But yeah, it's just a very well done experience. It's certainly worth your time, and I think many will be surprised by it if they've never played Reach. But with that, we're going to switch over to Firefight, and then we're going to switch over to the multiplayer to show off that in action. So this is the Firefight portion of the game. So this is a cooperative PvE multiplayer experience for 4 players. So you can play it either through Halo 3 ODST, which is what we're going to be showing off, or they also have the Halo Reach version of Firefight as well. So it's quite unique. This is the original basic offering of Firefight. It sort of has grown in terms of scale and design in the later entries, but it's still really fun. So this is great for those that want to work with others, and you know, you don't want to play the campaign, so you need some kind of other PvE option. That's where Firefight comes into the mix. You're battling waves of enemies and having a really good time doing so. You're earning medals, trying to get the best score possible, and there's different ways to play Firefight too. So I'm playing it with Rocket Firefight, I guess you could say. I think it's called Rocket Fight, which is kind of fun. And you know, there's like traditional Firefight, and there's like Fiesta Firefight, and different challenges, different difficulty options, lots of different ways to play. So you usually battle on these different maps, trying to survive the oncoming threat, getting those points, doing better than your teammates, and also trying to stay alive. So the matchmaking for this actually is quite efficient, and they've expanded the scope of it in a lot of different ways, kind of keeping more set times so that you're not playing this forever and ever. And you know, they got more structured options in regards to connecting with others. The whole seasonal pass thing that you're kind of unlocking can also give you Firefight type things for customization of the characters, and it's just a really well done time. It's quite fun and quite challenging. Now this isn't the biggest map, but this is just a slice of things before they started building it out more. It really was just kind of, I guess, an extra mode within Halo 3 ODST, just to kind of increase the value of what they had to offer. Oh, those things are so annoying. I hate the bugs. I hate the bugs a lot. They are not fun. Anyways, yeah, it's just kind of a really great way to interact with Halo, and I'm glad that they didn't leave it behind, because initially it really did seem like this was going to be one of those lost modes in the long term of the Halo series. But luckily, with the whole Halo 3 ODST sort of upgrade in addition to the PC version of the game, we got Firefight brought back, and it's absolutely excellent to see it available here. Again, you can play the Halo Reach version of Firefight if you want to. That's really good. I'd actually say it's a lot better than this. But there's also something about the timeless challenge of this one that I think is quite interesting. And I didn't necessarily feel that it was 100% needed to show off the Reach version of the Firefight 2, so I hope that's fine as well. Because they are, you know, they're similar, but obviously that one's more geared towards Halo Reach. And I hope future entries continue to have and offer Firefight, because it's such an engaging and fun, different sort of thing to do in the series, right? For different types of gamers. And I think I appreciate the fact that we have this available, and that it is a mode that is fun and has been developed and improved upon over the years. It's just kind of really engaging and challenging, and I remember spending so many hours trying to attempt certain achievement challenges in this one and stuff. It was kind of a bit of a pain. Oh geez, we got those guys. It is so intense playing as like an ODST in this Firefight, because it's a lot more guess you could say challenging than if you were like a Spartan battling these things. And this is even one of the easier versions of it, right? I mean, we're literally running around with like rockets, whereas regularly we'd be using more generic weapons. That's not to say they didn't add some weapon surprises in this one. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised if you jump in here after having played it back in the day. They've definitely done some, tweaks with things for the better. And I think that's fantastic as well, because adding some extra support to this is great for the longevity of it. I see you, you invisible brute. Time to get absolutely destroyed. But yeah, it's a good challenge. It's a good score battle mode to play. It's a good way to kind of unlock different, additional things for, the seasonal stuff. If you want, knocked him off the ledge. If you want to get more unlocks, it does offer some of that. And it's just kind of a fun mode. But let's switch over to the final part of the experience, which is the multiplayer. Ain't that right, Jackal? So this is going to be harder to go over. We're going to start by just talking about what the multiplayer has. So we've got social, we've got competitive, and then we've got custom multiplayer. So you play all the different games and all the well over 100 maps that are present in the multiplayer. Then you can also go to create if you want, in order to use Forge with these different entries in the series in order to make your own maps using different pieces, different locations. There's like Forge World, which is like a huge building area. It's quite cool and fairly expansive. But we're just going to jump into social. So in social, you get to pick what games you want to have show up. I usually do Reach 2 and 3 and 4 because Halo CE takes a while. And I play objective playlists. They've also got these things called hoppers, which are kind of fun weekly modes that change things up. So you might get something like Griffball, which is actually a mode that was created within Halo 3 as a Forge map, which is kind of crazy. And you can create your custom game types. They make like racing options. They do fun ones. They do infected. They do all kinds of different weird fun matches, which is sort of just truly exciting. But yeah, now we're going to jump into a match and showcase what this has to offer. So this is the online competitive play. Hopefully we'll get to show off a couple different matches so that you can see that in action and just get an idea of what the online multiplayer is like. It feels just as competitive, as fun as it used to be back in the day. So I mostly play this by myself. Whenever I have free time, I jump into the multiplayer because it's my favorite games, competitive play, all thrown together in this one sort of wild thing, which is truly quite exciting. So this is Oddball, where you're trying to grab the oddball. But yeah, they mix it up. They've got all these different sort of situations and maps and levels and game types you can play on, and it really is quite competitive and unique. Oh, I thought I had more shielding there. So I should mention with the challenge hub, you see the different things. We've kind of been talking about that over time. And between matches, I'll show off some of the unlocks. So as you can tell, it's kind of a little bit of heresy, but I have a custom BR skin on right now and stuff like that. So you actually are unlocking different weapon skins and vehicle skins and things like that in order to customize your character within the seasonal stuff. And it's all in-game content. It's not bought, it's earned while playing, which I think is fantastic, and it sort of reaches each of the individual titles. So the multiplayer, if you can play it at 120 FPS, it's absolutely insane and completely changes your perspective on competitive play. It's really, really awesome. I was sort of blown away by what it had to offer. I can't believe that guy actually got me there. But yeah, there's a lot of different balance and techniques and gameplay styles across the different Halos. They feel similar, but every multiplayer is something a little bit different. So I've been playing a lot more of arena-based combat, which is 4v4. Sometimes you get like doubles, and then there's like big team battles, what I traditionally play in Halo. I just got tired of the maps being the same in rotation, and I've just kind of been on a bit of an arena kick since. So I actually quite like this. It's fast-paced, it's more individual combat kind of going against one another, and then big team battles, more about, vehicles, larger theaters of conflict, and intense action in that regard across certain maps. It's quite well done. And then you play this great option in regards to finding different like lobbies and stuff, or you can jump into the more competitive set playlists, which I think are also a great way to compete and matchmake with one another while you are playing the game. So they're also supposed to eventually have a custom games browser so that you can jump into the maps, the forged created maps, and easily find other players to jump into. In the past, when you're playing Halo, you know, you always have to like find friends or invite people and invite friends of friends. Whereas now you're just going to be easily able to, you know, jump into a match with other people, and I think that's going to be a really great option too. I should also, again, double mention that this does have crossplay and, you know, device input matchmaking, so mouse and keyboard support and everything like that. The crossplay, it's a great option to have, and I think it's going to really help kind of increase the community on both platforms and just keep Halo rolling for a long time going forward, because that's really what it's all about, is the support of, you know, Halo, and making sure that I can really enjoy this multiplayer years into the future, because I think that's fantastic. When you look at other multiplayer games, you look at older entries in the series, unless they have like bot support or something like that, they sort of just become, I guess you could say, really dead, right? Oh, I wanted that overshield. I guess he's got the hammer, so he sort of needs it. But they become dead because there's not enough players. But if you keep all the players in one central location, like the Master Chief Collection, you can keep these games alive, and you can allow people to still enjoy them, you know, for years down the road. And I think that's truly special, because I don't really think that there's another collection in gaming that provides what the Chief Collection provides. And I wanted to get that across while I've been showing off all of this different content that, again, on Game Pass, which is crazy, but all in one cohesive experience. You can get the best of Halo without having to switch around between games. What am I doing right now? Jeez. But yeah, it feels intense, it feels competitive, there's so many ways to play. You can just spend countless hours jumping in here, competing with other people, enjoying all of these maps. And then aside from, you know, like the well over 100 regular multiplayer maps, could you get out of my way, people? I didn't get my sticky grenades, that sucks. You know, past that, there's also Forge maps integrated into the multiplayer. So you might get maps that people have actually made included in the matchmaking, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Because you get some really cool, well done creations that I think are genuinely quite surprising, and those really add to mixing things up, keeping things fresh. And then we talked about those hoppers, you know, those playlists, like things like Griffball, which is a fun sporting event. Sometimes it's Shy Snipes, sometimes it's Fiesta, where you spawn with a random gun. And it's neat to be able to experience all of these different Halo games in one location. I think it's truly wonderful, the amount of content and the scope of what this presents. It's fantastic that I can still enjoy all my favorite games without having to go anywhere and without having to worry about, you know, the quantity of players being present. I think that guy's up above. Oh, geez. It's kind of intense, kind of dealing with my shields. Yeah, I was hoping for some more greater gameplay from this, because I'm usually really, I'm quite good at this. I gotta be honest with you. I got a kill out of that, so that's alright. But I was expecting some spectacular play out of myself, so I really looked like I was knowing what I was doing fully. But I hope you're kind of getting an idea of how the multiplayer is, you know, running, what it looks like, how smooth it is, and just how fun it is. I really do have a good time playing this one. Where is this guy going? And it does still feel like really intense and competitive, and you know, you get your scores and everything like that all tracked. I've killed like a ton of people in this. Like, I think it's tens of thousands, so it's quite ridiculous, because I've been playing this since it came out. And while the launch form of it, you know, wasn't the best, it really has, again, grown to the full potential of being the perfect collection of Halo content. Whether you're wanting to play the campaigns, whether you're wanting to play together in PvE on like the Firefight, or if you want to compete, you know, it's all still here. It's all ready for you to jump into, and it's still kind of intense. I don't know, I still have a great time playing this night after night, seeing what it has to offer. I should have known he had the shotgun there. But I think with that, we're going to switch over to, oh, well, they died anyways. We're going to show off another match so you can see that in action. Okay, so this is the seasonal battle pass type content that I was talking about. So you earn season points by completing the various missions, and then you complete all of these different seasonal tasks. The game that you're unlocking something in is shown above the characters and the items that are present, because character-wise you might be getting Firefight options. And there's 4 different seasons available. Currently I finished the first one, and then I'm working on, well, I stopped with Season 2, which is more combat involved, and then I've been working on the Halo 3 stuff, and then it seems like Season 4 is a bit of a mix of 3 and 4, but you're working to unlock all of this stuff. It's 100% in-game, You actually feel like you're earning stuff, which is fun, you know, different things that were never there. And if you don't want to see this, there's an option in the menus where you can turn it off entirely. So this is another match. We're doing Halo Reach this time, which is kind of neat just to mix it up so you can see this one in action. I really like the multiplayer here too because it's quite different in comparison to the other entries in the series. Usually I rush the rockets, so hopefully I'm able to get there in time to grab them, which is important. And I do want to reiterate, while I can't really show everything due to, like, you know, time constraints and all that, I hope that this has showcased a lot of what this experience and this package has to offer. And I will be diving into each of the different games separately so that you can actually see them all in action with a little bit more depth to them, so you can really get a full scope showcase of what each of these Halo titles has to offer, because I do think they are, you know, quite wonderful and certainly worth jumping into. I really love the multiplayer and throwing in this combination of different playlists and options, and you never know quite what you're going to get, but you're going to get a little bit of what you want because you can choose the options. You know, you don't want to play Slayer, you just turn it off, it's fine. You don't want to play objectives like I do, turn it off, it's all cool. Search for what you want, or play competitively. You can jump into, you could play, I'm trying to think of the name, Invasion if you want to, as like a competitive option if you really liked Invasion from Halo Reach. It's just got a lot of everything for everyone that's a Halo fan, or perhaps those that are wanting to play Halo for the first time. You know, the options are here for competing and engaging with one another and battling and trying to do your best. It's really interesting. This one's got so many like different armor abilities to it. Really mixes things up quite a bit if you're, well, I guess you just saw Halo 3 in action, so you're probably seeing the difference in the multiplayer design. I hope just really that I'm showcasing how it plays and how it looks, and doing a proper job of it, because I really do love the Halo games. I spend so many hours playing them, and I've just had so many experiences playing by myself, playing with like random people, playing with friends. It's been a, you know, a real treat over the years, seeing what these titles have to offer. Is this guy really running away? That is so cowardly. Yeah, they're really quite intense. People play them fairly seriously, and if they work together, they're a little bit more intensive to deal with, which is kind of exciting. Again, earning the medals and battling one another, all that coming from up there. Working through the objectives, or not, you know, whatever you want to play, right, or however you want to play it. And you get all of the levels, really, like every single level across all the different games. The 3 billion versions of Lockout that we've had, and, you know, stuff like that. And then also, like, the custom forged maps and everything. It just adds a lot to the experience. And then if you're one of those players that wants to create, you can go into Forge and you can, you know, make more maps that you can share with the community, or you can enjoy with your friends, or you can just enjoy yourselves, whatever you want to do. It's got, you know, everything present here in one cohesive experience, and I think that's absolutely wonderful. So I hope you've enjoyed this look at Halo the Master Chief Collection, my favorite games of all time, thrown together in one exciting, epic, long-lasting package that I hope really does continue to get upgraded and continue to thrive for years down the road, because it means a lot to me as an entry and as a series. But yeah, hopefully someday I'll once again be able to show off Halo the Master Chief Collection, because it's just been fun revisiting it so many times over the years. And it's just, like, again, such a pleasure to be able to review it again. So nice to have an excuse to play and showcase gameplay of this one, because I rarely get to do so. At this point, you're going to be seeing 120 FPS footage and gameplay. I can't capture at 120 FPS, so it's captured at 4K 60 while I'm playing at 120 Hz, which is 120 FPS, and then it's presented here, and keeping in mind that YouTube can't even showcase 120 FPS. I can edit it in it though, so that's kind of cool. But anyways, I hope you enjoy a look at each of the individual games very quickly, just to kind of see, hopefully, maybe some extra details of how smooth it looks, which is insanely smooth. It is a huge, big deal to be able to have this kind of frame rate. It's amazing.
Roll over, Mike Foxtrot, and get yourself foxtrotted.
Thanks for the assist, Trooper. Get this warthog moving. Our CO needs us to clear this sector.
Affirmative. Take it, baby!